I'm Donna Russo, and I am an actress on the award-winning web series Donna on the Go, and executive produced by Peggy Lane, and it's on YouTube. And the challenges of people with disabilities, the challenges that we have. I have some wonderful guests. Andy Arya, who is he is also he does a lot with policy in Washington, and Kaylee Bays, who is a dancer and just a wonderful dancer, and guests. Show. I was the Today Show Los Angeles, the Disability Channel, and today Disabilities in Hollywood founder, and I also have Kaylee Bays, who is a wonderful activist, and she's watched her videos last night, and they're awesome. And Arias here, who is an actor and does his own content. He also works in Washington with policy, and he advocates for disabilities. I would love for each of you to just flee, and we'll start with Jake.
I'm sorry, what was the question? A little glitchy.
I wanted you to introduce yourself briefly and tell us a little bit about you, what you do.
Yeah, my name is Jake Lynn. I am a graduate student out in California, and I founded Disability in Hollywood. And essentially, we're just a group of college students, undergrad and graduate, who are just done with inaccurate disability representation. And Kaylee and Andy are two people that I was privileged enough to get to know and participate in Disability in Hollywood.
Wonderful. And Kaylee, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes. Hi, I'm Kaylee. I am a dancer with disabilities. I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user. I live with a condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a degenerative connective tissue disorder. I was a dancer all of my life, and then I was diagnosed with EDS at 21. And although I stopped dancing for a few years because I did not see a place for me in dance or mainstream media, just recently I started dancing in my wheels. And so far, I've really been on fire for change and advocacy and representation in mainstream media for all people with visible and invisible disabilities.
And tell us about it, you.
So yes, my name is Andy Arias. I'm from Los Angeles, and I actually work in policy, but I'm also an actor and a producer of short documentary films, and I do stand-up comedy. I really think that advocacy and policy and the media go hand in hand, right? Because one cannot function without the other, and without proper representation, you can't really make the change. So one has to happen, and then the other one has to follow. Which one is still out for debate, but as long as they work together, it makes a good combination.
Wonderful. Jake, can you tell me how disabilities in Hollywood has caused a change, if any, with the point of view of disabilities, and what roads you're making insofar as having people with disabilities in Hollywood?
So yeah, there's been a couple initiatives similar to this, but we want to ensure that there's a lot of diversity, that young people, older actors, politicians, singers, dancers, and to a variety of disabilities. And I would consider Disability in Hollywood a stepping stone. It shouldn't be. It does something that's undone. I mean, this is a fighting cause that needs to be continued until the entertainment industry at its whole hires more people with disabilities for those roles in any way, shape, or form. And so that's kind of how I see it. And we've met a lot of people, which I think we've interviewed about 75 folks in the entertainment industry, which is mind-boggling to me. I only started I started 2.5 years ago, and I would say with viewership, people with disabilities, without disabilities, have seen our work, and we've just been kind of meeting more people as we go. And again, this is more of a stepping stone. It's not a one and done type of deal.
Any kinds of steps we can take to move forward is a plus. Haley, I noticed that you dance in one of my favorite studios, and I've seen how they have, it's not very easy for you, so they helped. Have you with all the other dancers, and that studio is definitely so. When I saw you get in there and the work you did with heels and just the me being a dancer myself, and I just loved it. So can you further your dancing in that studio made you feel, and how did you feel in that studio?
I mean, every time that I roll into a studio in the last month, I've just felt empowered. And I kind of got to a point in my life where when I was using my chair and rolling into a room, I'm usually the only one in a room in a chair who at that point is visibly disabled. So I kind of said to myself, everyone's already looking anyways. You might as well give them something to look at. And so I started kind of honestly faking it until I made it. And that heels class, it completely changed the way that I viewed myself. Oftentimes people with disabilities don't get the chance to feel empowered and sexy and confident, especially in heels. And adapting heels for my chair has been nothing short of difficult. It is hard, but I love the way it makes me feel. It makes me feel alive.
Okay, well, we're going to take a little break right now, and then we're going to Andy, which I can't wait because I want to hear about his content and the Disability Challenge, and also his work with. Oh, we're going to be right back, so don't you go away.
All about inclusion and really giving everyone a fair say.
Welcome to the Today Show. This is our flagship show. I am Unstoppable Tracy.
I am Zach Damon.
It is a pleasure to be here. I am excited. What is up?
We have a great show today.
Jay Stoyan here for the Disability Channel, the world's only inclusive channel for and by persons with disabilities.
Get ready to be inspired, everyone.
We have people watching from all over the world, but also all over Ontario.
We also take a concerted attention in the veterans community.
In moments of stress and trauma, we can get a hold of ourselves.
To help make a difference for people with disabilities, to show people how to love themselves or their disability.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me, giving this platform for myself and other people with disabilities.
Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this episode of the Disability Channel Detroit. Please tune in next time.
Yay, we're back. So I'm going to move on to Andy. His content, his creating content is extra special, and some of the other things he does. So Andy, take it away.
Yeah, no, I've been lucky enough to be part of the Disability Film Challenge for over 3 years now. In the last 2 years, I've been nominated for Best Actor. Got very close once, but the film that I did was called Extra Special, and it was a mockumentary on Special, which my friend Ryan O'Connell is in Netflix. But the reason I made the film was because I wanted to really flip the narrative of what diversity means in Hollywood, right? It sometimes we only have one character with a disability who's Hispanic, or one LGBTQ character, or one other character, right? So it's disability, and maybe we'll have a sprinkle of something else. And what I thought was funny is people would come up to me on the street and be like, "Oh, you're that guy Ryan," and we look nothing alike. And I'm in a wheelchair full time. You know, I'm not ambulatory like Ryan. And so I always thought it was hilarious where people would stop me and think I was him, or think that, you know, we were connected somehow just because I was gay and just because I was in a wheelchair and doing this thing in Hollywood. And Donna, you know me for several years. I've been working in this industry for over 10 years, trying to make just a dent in diversity and inclusion. And I really, for me, the disability narrative is still so very white, right? Like, it's not, I'm Latinx, queer, and disabled, but I still don't see me on TV ever fully represented in my full form, in my uniqueness. And so I made that film for all those reasons. And plus, it was just really a satire to the industry, right? Like, you know, we go to these castings and sometimes we're like cattle, right? And we're not casting us, we're casting our ability, right? It's like, oh, do you have the right wheelchair? Do you have the right look? We don't want your talent. We want you because you sit in your chair. So I just thought on many levels that the industry was ready to be shook a little bit. And it really was. Like, after I made this film, I actually won Best Actor for a film festival in Nevada. And they were like, we hadn't seen anything like this. And I was like, well, thank you. So it really just pushed me to like reinvigorate my career. And then I was working with Jake on the Hollywood initiative that he's working on, and I got interviewed by him. And I just thought this whole thing, you know, there needs to be a movement of many, and then that movement will become bigger and bigger. And we all have space, we all have room to do whatever we want to do. We just need the ability to do it, which is the industry allowing us to open those doors.
That's wonderful. That's cool. For you know, giving us a chance to talk and questions about how we feel with diversity in Hollywood. It really opened. And with that, I do want to ask a question about this is how I feel, and everyone has their own opinion. But you know, in Hollywood, everybody's talking about authenticity in Hollywood. I believe that's a good thing, but I do believe that so portraying things that you are not. So if you do have somebody not disabled playing a disabled person, it does give an awareness, a baby step to an awareness. It also is into the project. However, I do believe in roles incorporated for people, and I do believe that sometimes you do need that A-listed person to project going and to get people to come see the project. I believe that there should be more opportunities for producers and writers to get to know. We have a point of view that no one else has, and we have that we can give to projects. And I don't know, you can all jump in.
I'd like to say something. I know I'm talking a lot, but this is like, I'm so glad that you brought this up because two things, right? I think that it's cute that people want to cast non-disabled actors for disabled parts. But like, again, I think it's time now that there are so many, there's so many actors with disabilities. They could find one, right? Like, I know, yeah, I know so many stories about Glee. Only one actor got submitted for that role, right? And they didn't get it, obviously. For Queer as Folk, only a handful of actors got auditioned for that role. And again, that role's, challenging and different and interesting. But I think you're right, Donna. I will agree with you on this. If people with disabilities were behind the scenes, were writers, directors, and producers, this is why I do producing too, they would tell their own stories. They wouldn't want an able-bodied person to go in there and be like, I want you to tell my story. I had the opportunity to work with a very famous person about 5 years ago, and they wanted to tell my story about growing up in foster care. And when they were like, yeah, but we want little Andy to be played by a non-disabled person, I was like, sorry, I can't do that. And I literally took the project and said, no, thank you. And yeah, I might have been kicking myself in the foot or in the face or whatever, but I could look myself in the mirror and said, I made a choice. I made a choice to elevate our community. Now, on the other hand of that, if they audition more than 50% of people with disabilities and they still can't find their actor, then yes, maybe maybe an able-bodied person can come through and do it with the support of the disabled community. But the problem I see with not casting disabled voices and disabled persons is they don't do a thorough casting process. And if they do, it's not transparent, right? They don't do anything to let people know we're having a huge casting for this one part, and we auditioned 80 people for it, and yet we couldn't find anyone, right? If they did that, I'd have less problem with them casting an able-bodied person. But I don't think they need to. I think there's plenty of people with disabilities who are unique, beautiful, and talented that could be casted at any role. I'm sorry, that was a lot. Oh my God, CJ, this is your problem.
No, that's okay.
You asked me.
That's okay.
No, I'm
that's what
ready
this
to
is.
jump on. I love this. I love this. As someone who has gotten turned away from so many auditions or even dance classes just because I needed to adapt. This was before my wheelchair. Now, having the experience of being in my exact position right now, just having a little bit more mobility, I remember being able to go into dance spaces and being looked at like I was everybody else. And then once I needed accommodations because I wasn't visibly disabled, then there was judgment and there was misunderstanding and there was harm. And when I would go to an audition, and I tire very quickly, so I can't go full out every single time that we rehearse a dance. And if I'm not going full out in rehearsal, they cut you. And so I would get cut from auditions because I wasn't going full out. I would get cut just because I needed accommodations. So when I know that there are roles being created that highlight people with disabilities and their stories, I truly feel that that is a role that should be dedicated to someone living in that position because they bring a perspective that someone who is able-bodied can't. And when I watch a story that features a character that I relate to, that is giving a community that I belong to representation, I want them to fully embody and represent everything that I live, breathe, and exist in. And I feel that, yes, an A-list celebrity can bring attention to a movie that maybe a brand new person can't. But that comes down to the marketing. Push your marketing. Push welcoming a new disabled actor into the scene. Yeah, we need more A-list celebrities. Yeah, we need more A-list disabled celebrities who can bring this pull. So I truly believe that these roles belong to people with disabilities.
But I'm thinking of Daniel Day-Lewis, who did My Left Foot. He did an excellent job. He was not disabled, but no, I agree with you. There should be more chance for people to get in the room. Jake, how do you feel?
Oh, Jake, go ahead. But one thing I would say this: 30 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, okay. But now, with all the work in diversity and inclusion, there's no excuse. There's no excuse to not create that space. All right,
especially
Jake, go.
with
I'm
representation
sorry.
on social media. You can find so many diverse artists and creators through social media alone. I've connected with so many dancers I personally relate to now because of social media. It's rad. I love it.
Go, Jake. I'm sorry.
And I dance the way I used to, but I dance the way I can now, and that's okay with me. That kind of emotion to put in to my work. Jake, how?
Well, I think what's also not really told about is, I mean, I'm not really in the entertainment industry. I'm kind of on the flip end. Someone kind of coming in, looking more objectively. When you don't see someone like you, it makes you feel isolating, alone, and you don't think like, oh, do I even have a future? Because for me, I'm thinking of, or one of my disabilities, ADHD, makes fun of all the time. And then how that translates into even retail, because I mostly work retail my life. My boss told me that, my coworker had ADHD, they can't concentrate, so we're just going to fire them. And so that's a direct response of what people see and what people think of when they watch these representations in media. And the only thing similar I can think of is I'm also part of the LGBT community, and obviously disability, LGBT, there is intersectionality, but it's different. And I'm thinking there's TV shows, movies being produced now, and the people who are the casted, they're not part of the LGBT community. And so for me, like growing up, and I'm thinking, oh, is there someone else like me? And like, oh, so are they just pretending? Does this actually exist? Am I the only one? Do I have a community? And it's really upsetting. And and for disability, when it's not even shown as an adult, you don't even know what the possibilities are. And I think that's how influential media is. And it shifts policy too all the time. Even like recently with conversion therapy, 2 state legislators banned conversion therapy because of the film Boy Erased. And so that is, media really influences culture and policy. And when it's not there, then it just perpetuates all of these horrible stereotypes and these perceptions, which then that's how people who without disabilities treat people with disabilities.
Wow, there's a lot about.
You do have family, Jake. Yay! Yay!
Thank you.
One more last minute thoughts, okay?
Hi, this is Dave Stevens with the Disability Channel.
An inability to break out. I'm sitting by the door on the 2nd floor, losing my 7-year war. It's not an illusion, so why the exclusion?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's about you. So,
You say you're a disability dynamo.
joining me, and
Welcome to this beautiful Travelers Championship.
I only want one accolade from you.
So my story is unique, it's amazing, but it's not anything that you guys don't have inside of you. I'm not a hero, I'm not anybody special. I'm just this guy without legs that went out, and I just did it.
Stats outweigh the Democrats, the diplomats, and the bureaucrats.
This is probably your first interview down on the ground on your butt and stuff like that?
First time ever,
All
baby.
right.
Eliminate, invalidate, invalidate, invalidate.
Stay with us and the Disability Channel.
Okay, we're back. I want to thank you all for coming. Last minute that you want to say, please feel free to give last minute wrap up thoughts.
I'll go.
I have one, but I don't want to be rude. You guys go.
I'll go first.
Yeah, that's okay. Go.
Representation matters. And if I had someone to watch that embodied me and the things that I faced in my challenges every day, my entire perspective on life would have been different. And I am just so, so honored to be a part of the disability community. And I challenge you to find something that makes you feel empowered and self-love.
I will just say that everyone will be where we are at one point in their life. Disability is the only intersection that you can never escape. So people need to start changing their perception on disability, because one day they will be us, and then they will be like, where's my equality? Where's my rights? Where's my voice? We are just asking for it now, but you will be asking for it later. So get on that bandwagon right now, because you're never going to escape disability. It's coming for you.
I'd say for the general public, we are here. Feel free to follow us on social media. We are helping fight. Please support us. We're doing as much as we can, but it's up to you to help also continue that. And then for industry officials, hire people with disabilities from the top to the bottom. If characters are disabled, only hire the people with disabilities to play those parts. Foster an environment supporting people with disabilities, and require sets, and pretty much just when everything top to down, top from bottom, make it accessible.
And I say, don't give up, keep at it, keep it in your thoughts, and just find a way. Don't let them stop you. Channel and the Today Show LA for people with disabilities, for their that they give to the veterans, and loved having you on this show. I loved it. So thank you, and bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Keep at it, guys. Keep at it.